Welcome to Kevin Dale Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be doing a review of the Telesin C40 portable fogger. I'm pleased to announce the release of my Capture One and Lightroom presets, Metamorphic Portraits, The Sound of Silver, and Rangefinder. These are all available for purchase at my website. Go to kevindalephotography.com or check out a link in the description below. And now, on to today's episode. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Dale Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. So if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you may be asking, Kevin, what are you doing with that weird thing in your hand? You review cameras and lenses and lights. Well, I am diversifying and I wanted to review a fogger. And the reason I decided to review this Telesin fogger is because as a photographer, I have put off buying foggers for my studio because in my previous life, I sold sound, video, and lighting to nightclubs. I did gigantic NFL stadium designs, Division I college stadium designs for sound, video, and lighting. And one of the things that came up when I used to sell systems to nightclubs was the foggers. They were always a sore spot to me because when I put a system design together, I wanted everything to work and I didn't want clients calling me telling me that stuff didn't work. And unfortunately, foggers, it doesn't matter how much money you spend. I've seen $5,000 foggers break and need a lot of maintenance done to them. And so if there was one word in the fog industry that always stood out to me, it was unreliable or inconsistent. And so because I'm spending my hard-earned money on atmospheric effects, I've always just opted to use those spray cans. But those spray cans, those aerosol cans, make me sick when I use them in close quarters. I don't know what it is that makes me sensitive to them, but I don't like them. And they're not that cheap, to be honest. You know, $14, $15 for a spray bottle is a lot of money. And so I just don't like using aerosols. They do kind of get the job done, but I just think that there should be a better way. But unfortunately, like I said, foggers, you spend $300 or $400 on a fogger and then they break and it's like, wow, man, that's like the price of a lens. I used it twice and the damn thing's broken. So Telesin reached out to me and asked me to review this C40 portable fogger. And I thought to myself, that may not be a bad idea because it's smaller. It's not some gigantic thing that takes up a corner of my studio. And I didn't buy it. I'm getting to review it for free, and so I can test something out and then show all of you whether or not it's worth your hard-earned money. And like everything on this channel, nobody gets a free pass. If I don't like this, I'm going to tell you about it. So let's talk about this guy because there's some uniqueness to him. So he has a detachable remote, which is cool. And as you push the button, it has to warm up, as all foggers do. But then as it warms up, you push the button and fog comes out. Now, it is a little low on fog juice at the moment, so it's not putting out a ton of fog. I will, of course, fill this guy up and show you how to do that throughout the video, but it has a tiny little charging area right here where you can see some terminals, and then you just take this guy and put him on. So it gives you the option of using this guy remotely, and there's also some threading on the bottom so you can just put it on your light stand and put it off where it needs to go. And then of course the fact that it is handheld, you or an assistant on your set can just move it around the subject. I definitely see this being useful for things like headshots. Like if you want to have some headshots, maybe backlight somebody with some smoke and make it look like they're in a lounge from the 1940s, back when everybody used to smoke. Or maybe you're a product photographer and you want your product to uniquely stand out and have some atmospheric smoke around. I feel like this could be a pretty good solution for it, but none of that matters if it's gonna break. None of that matters if it doesn't have good output. So let's go ahead and let's test this guy out. But first, as always, let's talk about the specs. The Telesin C40 portable fog machine is a multi-head attachment 40-watt portable fogger. It has a tank capacity of 60 milliliters. It comes with a remote control, one bent tube, one T-shaped tube, and one straight tube. It also comes with 2 nozzle foam covers, a shockproof oil tank, and an included USB-C charging cable. The battery capacity is 2,500 milliamp hours. The battery life is about 28 minutes of continuous power, and it takes about 2.5 hours to charge. There are 36 levels of smoke, 6 smoke density levels, and 6 air volume levels. It also comes included with a hard shell case. The product dimensions are 2.4 by 2.3 by 6.5 inches, or 61 by 59 by 166 millimeters. It comes in at a weight of 9.73 ounces, or 276 grams. And it comes in at a street price of $139 US. Okay, so let's talk about the basic operation of the unit. If you turn it on and you take the remote out, you can see right here that there's a little light, and that light tells you that the unit is on. But the cool thing about this guy is that you can walk away and control him, and he even is able to be put on one of these 1/4-inch thread adapter light stands. So let's talk about the remote, starting with the upper left button, and that of course is your power. And so when you hit it, your power goes on, and you see a screen with kind of 2 columns of controls. And if you go over to the bottom left, that actually scrolls through between all your different things, your parameters that you can adjust. So as you scroll, you'll see the fog type. So it'll go between free, it'll go between steam, fog, and dry ice. And to scroll between those parameters, you simply hit the plus and minus buttons on the right side of the remote. And then as you scroll over to the next thing, you'll see 2 hash marks with an S, and that is how many seconds you want it to fog. So I'm going to do a 5-second fog real quick, and I'm going to hit the button in free mode, and I'm just going to let it go. So it's going for 5 seconds. Now it was warming up. So let's actually do it for 10 seconds this time. All right, let's go to 10 seconds, and I'm going to change it to, let's do regular fog, because that's the most prominent one. So we'll do 10 seconds of fog. Here we go. And 10 seconds later, we have a lot of fog. So you could put this guy in a corner. You could set him up to 200 seconds. You could use the remote or have an assistant use the remote. And that way you can concentrate more on your actual project and not whether or not this thing is actually working properly. So that's pretty cool. You also have the fan icon that you can scroll to, and as you go up and down, it controls how powerful the fan is. And then of course you have your time duration. So you could have a lot of fog come out for up to 200 seconds, or you could have a little bit of fog, have it sip a little bit here and there, come out for up to 200 seconds. So in the upper right corner, you have a connection, a wireless connection, strength of signal between the remote and the fogger. And then in the upper left corner, you have a battery status indicator. So if the battery is low, you'll know because it'll tell you on the remote. And of course, this guy can be charged with very common USB-C. So you could literally charge this off your laptop or your power bank or whatever you have laying around that charges devices via USB-C. First, let's start with the pros. I love the fact that for a fogger, it's compact and portable. It's about the same length as a lens, but it's only about half the diameter. If you ever worked with foggers on a professional set, you'll know that even the smaller ones are about the size of a roller bag, and I've worked with larger ones that are roughly the size of a shopping cart and are on casters. So to have one that can fit into your portable loadout makes it far more likely that you're going to pack and actually use it. In terms of expectations, I think this can easily smoke out 1,000 square foot space for like 5 to 10 minutes before you need to hit it again. It's enough smoke to get both Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg's approval. So what's that good for? If you have a 700 square foot studio like I do, it pretty much covers everything I need it for, which ranges from close-up product photography to filling up an entire room. Now, I am in the process of moving into my new studio, so I wasn't able to test this on a typical set, but I was able to use it in a similar size space, my downstairs foyer. And as you can see, it adds a layer of depth for both video and lighting. I wanted to get that old noir lounge look in a time when everybody smoked, and this fogger was able to deliver on that. I should also add that the fog is a water-based solution, and this did not trip my very sensitive smoke detectors in my house. Not bad at all for a handheld fogger. The fog fluid appears to be common materials, vegetable glycerin, propylene glycol. That's pretty much the standard, and that's a good thing because if you find yourself needing fog fluid in a pinch and you don't have time to wait for your Amazon Prime order, your local party stores or a place that carry lighting and DJ gear like Guitar Center will likely have a bottle of fog fluid in stock. I just recommend reading the ingredients and making sure that it has those same common base formulas in it. The fog fluid that is included does not have an offensive smell. If you're new to the world of foggers, some fog fluid can have a pretty distinctive odor that many people don't like. Some people are even sensitive to it. The included fog fluid had a modest odor, so I will put that under the pros. The amount of manipulation at your fingertips is definitely a pro. Not only can you scroll between fog, steam, dry ice, and freeze settings, but they also included 3-directional tubes as well as foam attachments that allow the fog to diffuse and scatter more slowly. Simply put, these attachments give you more ways to create. I love the fact that it comes with a remote, so I'm not babysitting the fogger. The ability to be 50 feet plus away from the fogger and have it do exactly what you want it to do saves me time. Simply put, it allows me to stay focused on my creative project and not focusing on gear. And don't overlook the fact that the remote is magnetized, which allows you to stick it to metal objects. I like the fact that there's a standard thread on the bottom, which makes it compatible with many of my lighting stands. So you don't have to worry about buying some sort of proprietary stand, you likely already have it. I also want to give props to Telesin for including a hard zippered case, which will protect your C40 from knocking into things. I also appreciated the textured grips, which allow you to get a better hold on the unit. But not everything about this C40 is sunshine and rainbows. Let's talk about the things I think they could have done better. There's not a lot of cons that stand out to me so far, but one that I did notice is it is prone to dripping. And if you're set up doing a genre like product photography where you have a clean set, you may find a drop or two landing by or on your product. So I recommend you keep a wiping solution nearby or be prepared to Photoshop out drops in post-production. And of course, if your drops are getting on the floor, they will also find themselves getting on the side of the unit, which will leave a soapy-like residue, which will eventually end up on your hands. So be prepared to have something to wipe or wash your hands after using this unit. Now, it's common for foggers to get fluid on the side during the process of putting fluid into the machine, or sometimes the tube gets clogged momentarily and coughs up a little bit of fluid. All normal in foggers, but certainly not a pro, so we'll put it under the cons. For $100, I would have liked to have seen them include more fog fluid. What I have should probably last me a few months, and yes, the fog juice is cheap, but the fact that the fog juice is cheap is precisely the reason why I think they should have included more in the first place. What about reliability? Is that a pro or a con? I have to say, I don't know yet. I can't comment on the long-term reliability of this product, but I will say that I intentionally let it sit on a shelf for a month after using it, and when I fired it up, it started working instantly. This is good news to me because in my experience using foggers throughout my career, I've lost track of the amount of times I've walked up to a neglected fogger, and in my attempts to fire it up, it failed, and off to repair it went. So far, this C40 is passing that test. So who should buy this product and who should avoid it? If you're a portrait, product, or commercial photographer and you're looking to add more depth and creativity to your shoots, this very well could be an excellent solution for you. And of course, videographers, if you're looking to make your shoots have more interesting motion, smoke is often the best way to do so. So I recommend you give this a serious look as well. Instead of obsessing over a new camera or lens, perhaps something like a fogger is what is missing from taking your idea to that next creative level. I've personally avoided foggers because they are usually gigantic pieces of machinery that break and are a pain to set up, and in my experience, they're just unreliable. However, having something this small with the output that it has is a different story. I plan to integrate this into my arsenal of creativity moving forward, and hopefully say goodbye to those aerosol cans for good. So, who should avoid this? If you're not committed to the idea of integrating atmospheric effects regularly into your work, I'm not sure spending more than $100 to do so is a good use of your money. You may very well stick to those aerosol cans instead. If you're on a gigantic set like a music video or run a nightclub, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you know that this guy isn't robust enough for those applications. But just in case you were thinking this is going to work on something like a movie set to create fog in a graveyard around Halloween or something, it's definitely not that powerful of a unit. This is for smaller applications, and for smaller applications, it performed admirably. That does it for today's episode. If you're interested in the C40 or extra fog for it, I put Amazon links in the description below. What did you think of the C40? Do you think it's worth making the investment in? Did you get a different fogger? Tell me about that in the comments below. And if you like this channel, I humbly ask you to click the subscribe button below. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.